Okay, hi everyone. So, thank you so much for coming for my presentation today. And first, I would like to let me share my screen with you. So I have some slides prepared. Okay, so all right. So okay, so first, today's topic is going to be talking about humanistic hip hop dance in education for character and community building. So I would first like to start off by sort of sharing like a personal story, my personal connection with dance. So let's move on to the first slide. So when we look at dance in today's context, right, I think these are the pictures that you see today. And when you're looking at these kind of pictures, like what comes to mind? Maybe try to think about it a little bit, and maybe you recognize some of these groups, and you can think about, oh, what does this sort of remind you of? Right. So this is one aspect of dance in today's context, and a lot of these are idol groups, right? And you can see idol groups are big today in the dance industry. And the next aspect of dance in today's context, as you can see from these pictures, right? These are competitions, dance battles, and performances. So another big part of the dance industry today are competitions, right? Competitive dance, right? So there's always, you always have to be at the top. You always have to be the best. And the next picture, right? These are dance groups, right? These are dance groups that focus on working as back dancers, for music videos, or back dancers for events. And you can see probably, maybe you recognize some of them. I don't know. The one on the left is from Japan, and the one on the right is from Korea. So, these are sort of famous dance groups that get jobs, relating to events and music videos as well. And on the next slide, right, these are, if you are familiar with the dance industry, you probably recognize these. So I got these pictures from some of the websites of the famous dance studios, right? And these dance studios, they have a pages, right, of dance instructors or dance teachers that they offer classes. And as you can see, the one on the left is from Japan, and the one on the right is from Korea. Right? So these are really sort of famous dance studios, right? So a lot of dancers, they sort of survive by teaching dance classes as well. And then next, right, these are also dancers, but they survive by doing commercials, right? These are commercials for some of the sort of famous brands, right? And actually, in the picture in the middle, one of them is actually my friend, one of my friends. So yeah, I think what you can see in common today, right, in the dance industry, is that it seems like everybody looks perfect, right? Everybody looks really good, right? And there's so much emphasis on lookism and visuals, right? So if I go back, to the slides again, right, you have idol groups, you have a competitive dance industry, and you have back dancers, right, for performances, concerts, and music videos. You have dance instructors, and then you have dancers that make money from sponsorships and commercials, right? And you can see the thing in common is that there's a very, very strong expectations of a person's appearance or looks, right? So for me as well, I had dreamt of this kind of a journey as well, because I've been dancing for more than 10 years. And I think these are some pictures of me when I was 25, 26 years old, right? And I'm 30 already this year. So I had dreams of such a journey. I was traveling around, I was participating in events, I was dancing for concerts, for music videos. But my journey sort of took a very different shift. So I wanted to kind of start with sharing a personal story, just to make um, myself more relatable, to everyone else. So actually, I had this kind of dream
Hello?
until.
Sorry, Beng, your slides aren't moving. All
Oh,
right. Yes. Okay, I think now it's working. All right.
maybe I if everyone can see, maybe I shouldn't go full screen. I should just go like this. Right? Can everyone see if I do this?
Yes,
Can you
now we
guys?
can see.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
perfect.
I think I'll just do this, right? It's easier. All
All
right.
right.
So yeah, I sort of had, the same kind of a dream, right? And I wanted to take that kind of journey as a dancer. But about 2 years ago, I actually suddenly had very severe alopecia, which is hair loss. So my hair started falling off, and then I started losing many dance opportunities. And I sort of noticed that many dancers distanced themselves from me and even disconnected with me on social media. So it was quite scary because the people who I was, dancing together with about 4 to 5 years ago, you know, um, I'm no longer connected with them, because I no longer fit the beauty standards of the dance industry. So it was difficult, to look in the mirror and feel confident. It was really difficult to find opportunities. So I actually got, rejected from jobs and even, relationships because of this condition. And what was even more difficult was that there is no cure. There's no cure for alopecia. So it was a very big time in my life, and I had actually lost the confidence to dance and stopped participating in competitions and performances for about 2 years. And I gave up, kind of sort of gave up on my dreams and lost, hope. But there was a lot of sadness and regret because I felt like I've been dancing for so many years, and it just made me think that, oh, if I face a setback like that, right, and if I cannot meet the expectations of the industry, does that mean that I have to give up on my dance journey? So what changed was when a good friend of mine actually suggested doing a research project together where we incorporated dance into education. And then it was at that point in time that gave me the courage, because someone, sort of pulled me out of that hole. And I decided that I wanted to find a path in this world of dance where I could, shine as like myself, right? While battling alopecia. So I wanted to also believe in miracles and really try to make the impossible possible. So, like I sort of really battled it for a couple of years, and I was able to miraculously regrow some of my hair. And it's not completely healed yet because there's no cure for it, but I was able to sort of really fight and find small opportunities in the dance industry after dealing with, I think hundreds of rejections. So as I started a new journey, actually, which I started recently, I started working as a part-time lecturer at Soka University. So that's, I'm kind of introducing myself right now. And I was able to get a job as a freelance dance instructor managed by Dance Flow Academy. So I'm very grateful for that. That came after, I think it took more than 2 months just to find one dance opportunity. Whereas I can tell you, 4 years ago, I was given opportunities. So I think it was a very humbling experience in that sense, because I used to think that, oh, I'm a good dancer, so I'll get opportunities. And I was always offered opportunities. So getting to a point where, I had to really hunt for opportunities was a very humbling experience, I think. And so I started also working on my own dance and education business projects. And in the beginning, it was really difficult to find work. And as I said, I got many rejections because of my condition. And I think the hardest part was, when I joined a lot of dance work related events. Sometimes I would get ignored or receive like really cold stares, from other dancers, because it's really competitive. And I think a lot of people have, very uh, strict expectations of a person's visuals. And it's always a conversation. It's always an ongoing conversation in every dance related work. The conversation is always like, okay, what kind of visuals, do we want to show in this performance or this job? And I sort of felt, kind of like isolated and lonely. And to be honest, like I also struggled to get better paying opportunities because a lot of these like commercials wouldn't take me, right? Because I was sort of seen as, not perfect in the visual sense. Yeah. So I think, I wanted to sort of find meaning in this experience that I was facing. So I sort of decided to go into the more humanistic aspect of hip hop dance, and I wanted to be able to use dance to build heart to heart human connections and to build empathy among people who dance. And I wanted to see dance as a journey of personal growth and discovery. And I think that sort of became a very huge contrast with the industry today, which can be very competitive and ego driven. So and but why I decided to sort of focus on hip hop dance, right, was because hip hop dance originated from marginalized groups of people, mainly African and Latin Americans, and it's deeply rooted in African spiritual and cultural practices. So there's a lot of, sort of hidden gems, within this African culture or hip hop culture that I think kind of gets lost, when we move into sort of the more commercial aspects of dance. And there's a lot of emphasis on inclusiveness, empowerment, and self-expression, which sort of really speaks to me at this point in time. And I really like the spirit of positive social change. I think what makes hip hop dance very unique is there's always this spirit of wanting to change something in society through dance. And it's also very open to creativity and embraces differences. So I think that also makes hip hop dance very unique in the sense that when we practice other dance forms, sometimes it can be quite very, very structured. But and even I think even in Hawaiian hula dance, right, only sort of people of authority are able to choreograph, right? And in traditional Chinese dance there is a structure, there's a certain kind of clothing that you need to wear, right, a certain kind of movement that you need to do. But hip-hop dance is always sort of very open to originality, and there's this concept of creating your own move, right, or using the foundation and building on it and creating your own dance style. So I think because of that, that makes it very open to different cultures and it embraces differences. So that's what helps it attract, a global audience. Another concept that I wanted to share is the concept of each one teach one, which is really big in hip hop culture today. And each one teach one actually comes from the era of slavery. During that time, in the United States, right, the slaves were not allowed to learn, right? They were not given opportunities for education, but they had this concept of each one teach one, where as a community, when someone was able to get access to knowledge, right, they would take on that personal responsibility to share it with others. And I think that's really beautiful. As you can see, it's a huge contrast to a very competitive dance culture, right? Where in this case, everyone feels that they have the personal responsibility to share their knowledge with others so they can grow and advance together as a community. So the next part I would like to do is kind of just I wanted to make it interactive because it's a very long presentation. So I didn't want everyone to just sit there and just listen the whole time while I speak. So what I wanted to do was sort of introduce you to this concept of creating a dancer name. So I think this is also quite unique, maybe quite unique to hip hop dance, where we have dancer names. So I think it's more common in breaking or break dancing, which is actually my main genre. And this dancer name is usually an expression of one's uniqueness, identity, and style, right? So sometimes people pick their own names, sometimes they have a close friend pick it for them. So for example, these are two sort of real names that we have today, right? So b-boy is sort of like if you do breaking, it's b-boy something, or or b-girl something. But if you do other genres, you can just have a name, that's also fine. So one example is Eddie Styles, right? And this guy is quite a famous dancer, and his name is actually Eddie, and then he named himself Styles to show his style. And this dancer is from China. So Bigo 671, as you can see over here, like she recently participated in a global competition. And what was interesting was why is it 671? Was because 671, when pronounced in Chinese, has actually the same pronunciation as her name. So she's from China, right? And so I speak Chinese, so I could immediately tell, oh, right, there's that relationship within there. So you can sort of be really creative about it. And for myself, my dancer name is actually B-Boy Fresh Hope. And I sort of gave myself that name because fresh is a very common vocabulary used in dance to signify uniqueness, right? And which I felt that is what I want to express this time. It's like uniqueness, right? And hope is something that I want to convey to people when I dance. So as I mentioned, like going beyond, right, of course you express your uniqueness, your identity, your style, but I also wanted to think about what I want to convey to others through dance and what I want to bring to the world, what I want to contribute to the world. So I thought that would make it really meaningful and kind of just have a fun activity. Is we're going to use this website called Mentimeter that I really like. I think for people who have been to my presentations, like I always use this because it's very interactive. So I would like everyone to sort of, take a few minutes, think of a dancer name for yourself, right? Because dance is for everyone. Doesn't mean that you have to dance 10 years to have a dancer name, right? You can think of a dancer name now, right? As long as, you can move, right? You can dance. So, um, so first, I would like everyone to just kind of think of a dancer name for yourself and think of why you chose this name. So focus on thinking of what you want to convey to others and what you want to give to this world. So I'm going to, if you want to use your phone, you can use the QR code, or I will also paste. Yeah. All right. Oh, nice. Thank you for the event support for pasting the link, for me. So yeah, if you click on the link or if you use the QR code, you should be able to see, I think, a blank where you can sort of fill out uh, your names, or not your dancer name, and I think explain a little bit why you chose that name, what you want to convey to others, what you want to give to the world. I thought that would be kind of a fun activity. All right, so yeah, I'll just give everyone a few minutes. You should be able to see, yeah, a page where you can fill out. I think 200 characters. Maybe it's a little bit little, yeah. And yeah, just share a name, and if you have space left, you can also share like a kind of a short reason, right, why you chose this name. So we got quite a few people in the chat. I actually can't see how many people are in the presentation, so I have no idea. Yeah, I think some of you are writing in the chat, but if you can, I would like you to write it in using the QR code and the link, if you can. Yeah, the link is in the chat as well, so we can all see it together as well. Yeah, and if you can, try to write like a short reason why you chose that name. It would be really nice. Yeah, so I'll give you guys about, one more minute. And I'm going to switch screens a little bit just to show you what I'm actually doing right now is... Okay, where is it? I think, yeah, this is it. Yeah, so you can see, pretty cool, right? Like you have, you can see everyone who's sort of, shared their names. So if anyone still wants to share, you can continue to share your dancer names and your reason why. Oh, Maria is here too. I'm actually curious to what Maria's dancer name would be. All right, so I think, yeah, everyone can see it, right? Like you've got some really unique names, right? We got Grey Dance. Oh, that's actually a really cool name. Yeah, and we've got Latina Maril. I hope I got that right. Identify as Latina. Ethnic identity is important to me. Absolutely, absolutely. When we talk about ethnic identity, um, you know, I teach English classes at the university, right? And I think a lot of times we celebrate sort of the sort of English language centered uh, holidays, but my ethnicity is actually Chinese. So, 2 months ago, I think in September, we had the Mid Autumn Festival, and I decided to share, to celebrate Mid Autumn Festival with my students who are studying English. But the reason why I wanted to share about Mid Autumn Festival was because, Mid Autumn Festival actually signifies reunion among people and sort of celebrating together with people that you love and care about. So I felt that it was a very like warm, kind of culture. So yeah, absolutely, ethnic identity very important. And please, share the beautiful aspects of your ethnic identity with people around you. Next, we have dancimeter. Wow, dancimeter. You actually have the word dance in there as well. Nice. And Z style, first letter of my name and style. Absolutely, yes, that's a good one. And Reggie Reggae. So you always like Reggaeton music and dance style. I like that it rhymes with my name too. Yeah, that's cool, right? You're actually putting the dance style and the music that you like into your name. Next, we have Forever Young. So many things to do when younger. Yeah, I really like that as well. Yeah, I think it's important to have that spirit of being young, trying new things, challenging new things. Yes, and it's something that I'm reminding myself as well because being sort of entering my 30s and working in the dance industry, um, I'm actually the oldest dancer in my current company. So that's crazy. The second oldest dancer in my company is actually 23 years old. So I'm 7 years older than the second oldest dancer. Yeah. All right. So let's get back to the slides. Thank you so much, everyone, for participating. I hope you enjoyed it. And, please feel free to continue using that dancer name. If you want to start dancing, just let me know anytime. I'll be happy to share. Okay, let's get back to the slides. Okay, so moving on, like just kind of wanted to share my approach with sort of bringing dance into like education settings, because I teach in a Japanese context. I think the sort of I had to find like the path that allows me to do that, and I think sort of incorporating it into the university English language classes was the path that opened up, and the second aspect was that in my current sort of sometimes I'll get opportunities to teach dance in the industry, and I wanted to bring educational outcomes into my dance classes, right? Instead of just focusing on perfection or winning competitions, I wanted to bring the more humanistic outcomes. So, for example, connection, among people, empathy, teamwork, mutual support. So, how just to be more specific, how I do that is, for example, if I teach 1/8 count, right, and a lot of times, like the famous studios, they will just teach you the whole choreography and bye, everyone's done, and nobody talks to each other. But what I like to do is I'll teach like 1/8 count, and then I'll put students into groups, and I'll ask them to teach each other. So sometimes I'll pick the groups for them in a sense, I'll have someone who is sort of more experienced, and then I'll have two other students who are less experienced. And I think that sort of really um, builds the empathy of the more skilled dancers. A lot of these dancers who are more skilled, they started dancing when they're really young because their parents signed them up for dance classes at a young age, so they never actually experienced a time where dance was sort of difficult. So sometimes it's easy to become a little bit arrogant in that sense. So when I put them in these kind of groups and ask them to help each other with the dance moves, I think not only does it build connection, but it sort of really helps build empathy, and teaching them the spirit of mutual support. And the last point is confidence, self-expression, and communication skills, which as I mentioned, I wanted to focus a little bit more on expressing one's true and unique self. I think this is really difficult sometimes. I feel that because the current dance industry is so focused on the perfect visuals of idol groups, it's difficult to go to teach a dance class and tell the students that hey, you can be yourself, because the industry expects something different from them. So sometimes what I like to tell my students these days is that yes, you can aspire to be like someone else, you can have someone that you look up to, but if the problem is, if you try to be exactly the same as this person, you end up losing yourself, and you don't want to do that. So um yeah, it's good to you can look up to an idol group or something, but the problem is if you try to be like this person, you become this person and you stop becoming yourself. So I sort of try to say that when you try to become perfect, or when you try to be someone else, you end up losing yourself, right? So it's more important to bring out the best in yourself. And one concept that I really like as well is that in this entire world, there is no one who can dance exactly the same as you. So it doesn't matter if you're a beginner, or you have no experience, you started late. It doesn't matter, because there's no one in this world who can dance exactly the same as you. And if you can just bring that, everywhere you go, I think that gives a lot of confidence, doesn't it? Yeah. So next, I would like to sort of share a video, and this video is actually a project that I did at Soka University last semester. Very ambitious project. I think a lot of times I was kind of worried if it was going to work. but I was able to sort of bring dance into the English language classes, and I was able to bring in dancers, in the university to collaborate with me. I wanted to build empathy not just among the students but among the dancers at the university as well. So yeah, I'll be sharing it, and just enjoy the video. It's about 10 minutes. Okay, yeah, let me know if you can't hear, right, or is anything. Hi everyone, my name is Beng, and I'm the organizer of the Dance and English Education Workshops. I currently teach at a university in Tokyo, Japan, and I collaborate with student dancers to bring dance into English classes. The goal of these workshops is to create a fun, warm, and inclusive environment for learning a language. In fact, dance is also a language. Through dance and language teaching activities, we aim to help students develop communication skills and build confidence in expressing their authentic selves. We also use many collaborative activities to create a culture of care in the classroom. This is based on the spirit of each one, teach one, which means that someone who has acquired knowledge and skills has the responsibility to share it with their communities. So I was inspired to start these workshops because I suffer from severe alopecia, which causes my hair to become thin and fall off. So this really affected my appearances, my confidence and opportunities. And the thing that I enjoyed doing the most became the most difficult thing for me. I actually stopped dancing for more than a year. This year, I picked up the courage to dance again. My dream is to use my experience to create a world where everyone can dance happily, regardless of their appearances or circumstances.
今回みんなとダンスワークショップイングリッシュの授業でやらせてもらって、私自身はすごく英語が苦手意識が強いというか、英語はあまり今までやってこなかったんですけど、なんかこういう機会でなんかダンスと英語一緒にやることによって、それぞれがどっちかが苦手だけど、どっちかは楽しめるっていうのがみんながあったので、英語が苦手な子はダンスを積極的に取り入れて、コミュニケーション取っていったり、逆でダンスは苦手だけど英語は得意っていう子は、英語でみんなとコミュニケーション取ったりっていうので、自分の苦手なところを補いながら、ダンスを取り入れてコミュニケーションをみんながこう積極的に取っている姿を見れたし、私自身もイングリッシュチャレンジできたので、すごく自分の苦手なことに楽しく向き合うっていうので、すごくいい時間だったなっていうふうに思いました。あとは、授業が始まったタイミングで、結構みんなが人見知りというか、よそよそしい感じで、みんな緊張してるなっていう感じで、空気で、授業が始まっても、終わる頃にはみんな楽しく笑顔で踊ってる姿を見れたりとか、授業が終わる頃には積極的にみんなが喋ってる、コミュニケーションを取ってるところが見れたので、ダンスの力ってやっぱりすごいなっていうふうに思ったのと、そういうコミュニケーションの手段をみんなに一つでも多く提供できてたらいいなっていうふうに思いました。はい。私自身もみんなとコミュニケーションたくさん取れて、みんなのダンスもすごい素晴らしくて、私もエネルギーたくさんいただいたし、私もダンスでみんなにエネルギー与えられてたらいいなっていうふうに思いました。
まず、ダンスと英語との教育は、英語もダンスも共通してるところがあって、 人間のその自分を表現するっていうところが共通してる部分かなっていうふうに思います。そして今回のダンスワークショップを通してみんなの可能性がすごく引き伸ばされた部分が身に染みて感じて、やったことないことを挑戦する。その英語が苦手でもダンスが苦手でもそれを恥ずかしがらずに失敗を恐れずに表現をするっていうのがすごくみんなの学生の可能性を引き伸ばされたところかなっていうふうに思います。私もやったことないことを挑戦するっていう姿を見てすごく刺激を受けたし感激して、なんかこんなにも素晴らしい授業ができるんだっていうふうに実感したので、この機会を通して私はすごい貴重な経験をいただいたし、これからのダンス人生ですごくこのワークショップがいい起点になったかなっていうふうに思います。で、学生たちもすごく楽しんで取り組んでくれて、ペアでやったり、チームでやったり、自分たちでやったことないことを考えてみるっていうこともすごく私が今回の授業で大事にしてたことなので、それをみんなにも共有できて、自分たちで考えて自分たちで作る。そして自分たちで達成感を得るっていうのが、できたかなっていうふうに思います。これからも、このいろんなダンスでイベント出たりとか、たくさんいい経験をする場があると思うんですけど、授業を通して学生と触れ合えることは今回しかなかったと思うので、すごくありがたい貴重な経験だったかなっていうふうに思います。はい。
今回自分が、ダンスと、教育プログラムを通して、自分自身まずはその英語という語学を使った、ダンスっていうのが、初めてだったので、すごく不安な部分もありました。でもやっぱりこのダンスっていうところで体の部位であったりとかステップの名前っていうのがやっぱり英語を通して学ぶことで自分自身今まで分からなかった部分であったり新しい発見っていうのをすることができました。またダンスを教えるという部分ではこのダンスを全くしたことがないメンバーやダンス少しやったことあるけどあんまりわからないっていうメンバーにどうやって教えたら、ダンスが楽しいなって思ってもらえるか。また、少しステップで悩んでいるメンバーがいたら、どうやって寄り添っていけば、このメンバーが楽しくダンスを踊っていけるかなど、ダンスをしたことない人に教える大切さ、また難しさっていうのも今回学ぶことができました。今回のこの経験を通して、自分はこのダンスっていうのが今後、教育においてものすごく大事な役割を果たすと思っています。ダンスはただただ踊るっていうことではなくて、その踊る人の表現っていうのであったり、音楽、このミュージック、音楽をしっかりと体で表現するということが、ダンスには、ものすごく秘められている力だと思っています。そこに、やっぱりこの日本だけではなくて、海外に、どんどんいろんな人が進出していって、海外でこの日本のダンスの良さっていうのを、さらに広げていけたらなと思っています。これからもダンスと教育プログラム、これを通して、さらに、ダンスであったり、語学の力を自分自身も磨いていきたいと思います。
My vision for these dance workshops is to create a space where students can learn to express their authentic selves and create heart-to-heart bonds of friendship with one another.
Okay, when I say hip, you say hop, hip, hop, hip, hop, hip, hop. Yeah!
Okay, so yes, thank you so much everyone for watching the video. And yeah, I was also kind of looking at the comments. Thank you, Koichi and Vanessa, for your really kind comments. And yeah, absolutely. I think what I wanted to bring, using these kind of dance in education workshops was to bring dance to the people, or I would say bring dance back to the people, because dance started, from people, and now sometimes, to be honest, when I look at the professional dance industry, which, I'm a part of now, I feel that why is it that only people who are skillful, or why is it that only people who are famous, or why is it that only people who fit the beauty standards are allowed to dance, right? So that's the question that I'm always asking. So I wanted to shift away from that, and I wanted to bring it back to the people. I thought the best platform was education, right? Because we want education to be for the people and everyone, and through education you get access to students, from all walks of life. And to be able to bring dance there, I think we are bringing dance back to the people. And at the same time, by sort of recruiting these students, and some of these students are actually really uh, famous dancers. One of them, Takeru, the guy at the end, the last instructor, he actually, I think he won second place at representing Japan at the international competition. And another one of the instructors, Yuka, she's actually also teaching in professional dance studios as well. But I wanted to bring them back to the people as well, because I feel that a lot of these dancers, as they get famous, sometimes it's easy to get arrogant. It's easy to sort of look down on people who don't dance, right? Or sort of want all the attention, want to receive all the time. But I wanted to foster sort of these younger generation of dancers, and a lot of them are like 10 years younger than me too. So I wanted to foster them to be able to be contributive dancers, to be able to use their skills to contribute to the people, and not just be like, oh, I'm a good dancer, so I'm just going to dance with people who are good, which is what we see a lot in the industry. And I really wanted to bring that, but it was a challenge. I think, to be honest, it was a challenge to recruit people in the dance industry, or sort of the more famous dancers for these kind of projects, because a lot of them, they want the well-paid projects. They want the projects that will give them exposure and fame. So there's challenges on both sides, right? Bringing it into education, but at the same time also appealing to the dance industry, that I want to bring educational outcomes. So yeah, there's a lot of things to really go through. Yeah, so let's get back to the slides real quick. I just wanted to share, because after this project, I actually did some interviews with my instructors as well as the students. So we got some, like, I got some really nice comments, and I was really glad that they could have these kind of outcomes. So the first reflection, through an interview, was with Takeru, the guy who actually won, I think, second place in representing Japan in the international competition. So as he said, right, as he said, there were many students who were dancing for the first time. So it was a very important experience for him, right? He said, I started dancing when I was young, so I could experience the fun of dance at a young age. However, many of these students never had the opportunity. So I wanted to convey this fun of dance to them. And I think this was important for him, because a lot of times, to become a famous dancer, you have to start really young, right? A lot of, like him, he started, I think, in elementary school or even younger. So they never had this experience. A lot of these famous dancers never had this humbling experience of struggling on the dance floor, but when I asked him to sort of conduct these workshops, it gave him the opportunity to experience how people actually struggle. Yeah, and the second comment that he made was, through dance, we get to move freely and get to interact with others. In a typical classroom, we don't get such opportunities to work together and help one another. In such an environment, it was easy to promote interaction and connection among students. I think, this depends on the culture. I think we've got an audience from different countries, but I've also observed this, that in a lot of Japanese schools or institutions, I think a lot of students tend to kind of keep to themselves. They don't really sort of actively reach out to help others, even if they see like a classmate struggling. Sometimes people are really shy, and I think that he was able to see something different through these dance workshops, that, oh, we are promoting this culture of helping one another. And the last comment that he made was that in these workshops, I was able to get connected with everyone. This sense of community that we built through the workshops continued to impact students outside of the workshops and back into the classroom environment. For example, the friends that we became close to from the workshops built a culture where we could ask each other questions such as homework or ask for help about class content even after the workshop. So I was very glad that they were able to have these kind of outcomes, right? Where students were able to build relationships to the point that they could actually ask each other for help, which again can be quite rare in Japanese schools and in institutions. So the next instructor was Yuka, and so she teaches at different dance studios in Japan. She's pretty famous as well. So she said, I always enjoyed dancing with friends at a university, but to take responsibility to teach dance at a university with a goal of language education was really different. I had to think a lot. Typically, at a dance lesson, we do a warm up, learn choreography, and do a cool down. But this isn't enough in an educational setting. I felt that I had to come up with ideas, such as including communicative activities. I had to challenge things that I have not challenged. So again, I think this was a good learning experience for her as well. When you are sort of a famous dancer, you teach and everybody just listens, even if they cannot catch. You can get away with it. But when I put them in this educational setting, they have to take responsibility for the students' growth, right? And you're dealing with people who have never danced before. A lot of these students in the class have never danced before. So I think it's good to sort of build empathy, I think, and to help these dancers become better educators as well. And the second comment, to teach communication skills through dance, I had to interact with students instead of doing a one-way teaching. At first, I thought about letting everyone follow what I was doing, but because everyone was shy, they would not be able to follow. So I had to challenge myself to create an atmosphere where everyone could feel comfortable making mistakes and trying something new. It was important that I create a conducive learning environment. Yeah, so as I mentioned, when a lot of these dancers that I work with, they have been dancing since they were young. So when they became dance teachers, they're sort of famous, they're pretty well known. So students will go to their classes, right? So even so they could just do one-way teaching, and these students will still be there because these students sort of look up to these famous dancers. But when I put them in these educational settings, right, with students who struggle, students who've never danced before, if they just do one-way teaching, everyone would just zone out. So I think it was a huge challenge for them, but it was also very humbling as well, I think, for a lot of these dancers. The next one is Kohana, and she also represented Japan in like some competitions as well. So she said, I realized that dance and language are connected. In the class, there are students who are better in English but not so good in dance. Alternatively, there might be students who are better in dance but not so good in English. In such a situation, everyone could challenge an aspect that they are not so good in or challenge something difficult. It created an atmosphere where everyone felt that they could challenge something, try something. If you don't try something, you won't know if you can do it. Yeah, so this was interesting. I actually didn't see it that way. I never noticed that. Oh yeah, that's true. There's some people who are better in dance but not so good in English. Some people are better in English but not so good in dance. It could provide an opportunity for exchange. The next comment, we created an atmosphere where everyone was challenging something new together. Everyone wanted to learn more and grow together. Even during break times, they would come back together to practice the moves. Even if I did not specifically tell them what to practice, they would do it proactively. And I think this was a really good outcome because most of these students have never danced before. And just within, we only had 2 workshops, right? And within 2 workshops to sort of be able to convey the joy of dancing, I think it was really, I was really happy to be able to do that. And next, I also interviewed some of the students who took the workshops. And the first comment was the group activity where we worked in pairs to help one another with the moves provided an opportunity for us to communicate with those who we don't know well. It made us closer to one another and we felt a sense of community. There were also 2 students who were from a different major in our English class. Initially, we were not close to them and we thought that they were older students, so it was difficult to talk to them. But because of the dance workshop and pair activities in the workshops, we were able to become close to them. Even when students from this class saw each other on campus, we would say hello to each other, which is not so common in Japanese universities. And as you can see, in some of my classes, I have, a few students who are from different majors. And I think typically, when people come to class, they just sort of keep to their groups or they keep to themselves. Even if they're not close to their classmates, even when they see them on campus, right, most Japanese students would not say hi to each other. So I was quite pleasantly surprised because I didn't know about this, right? Because these are for the voices of the students. So I was quite pleasantly surprised that, oh wow, like through the dance workshops they were able to become, this close, and they were even able to somehow, like develop the ability to say hi to each other when they see each other on campus. Yeah. The next comment: compared to the typical dance lessons, where it is usually a one sided teaching from the teacher, the pair and group activities, where we could help each other with the moves, made it easier for everyone to learn. Even those who had no experience dancing could have fun and learn the moves. Yes. Yeah, as I mentioned, right? Typical dance classes at studios are very one sided, but that's something that I want to change. And the next comment is: when I try to challenge something, it is difficult when I have to do it alone, such as waking up early or studying every day. But when I do it with friends, it helps me stay consistent. If we can advance on a common goal together, it helps a lot. To be being able to grow together with good friends is very important. Simply having fun is not enough. It is important to struggle and go through hardships together. I think this is an amazing reflection by this student, to be able to realize that, oh, it is important to advance and struggle together with friends. And yeah, I was really glad that they could take something so deep out of a dance workshop. I think that really also shows me that the potential of dance in education. Okay, next, I was from a different major from most of the class, so I wasn't close to everyone in the beginning. It was difficult to practice English with everyone in typical classes, but during the dance workshops, it felt easier to talk to everyone, and I was able to become closer to everyone. I was able to naturally learn while listening to the teachers teach, and while everyone was talking during the workshops. During the workshops, I also felt more comfortable making mistakes. So this was a student that we were talking about, right? I had a couple of students who were from different majors, and they were always kind of very shy, sitting in the corner, and didn't, know how to blend in with everyone. But through the workshops, everyone was able to become close. So that was great. The last comment: at the end of the dance workshop, when I saw the videos of me dancing to the choreography and everyone doing their best together in dancing English, I could see that everyone became closer. Even though this class was only once a week, we could deepen our friendships through the dance workshops. Yeah, and I think that from all these comments, I think we can see that I think what students, a lot of people, not just students, maybe even some of us, we feel that what's lacking in society today is the human connection. Maybe because of social media. Um, I think human connection is lacking, friendships are lacking, and the idea of sort of opening up to one another, being vulnerable, and struggling together is kind of becoming lost in society. And as a person in the dance industry, I can see how everyone is trying to build a perfect appearance or perfect image of themselves on social media. So they start closing themselves up. They stop being vulnerable. And when you stop opening up yourself to others, then you start losing your humanity, you start losing your friendships, you start losing your connection. And I think what we can see here is that I think the students, the biggest thing that most of these students got out of these workshops, or the biggest thing that they wanted, was to be able to feel closer to everyone, to be vulnerable with everyone. And I think introducing dance, it sort of forced everyone to be vulnerable, right? I mean, even someone who's really good at dance, right, when they learn a new move or a new choreography for the first time, they're gonna make mistakes. So I think that really helped everyone sort of see each other as human, and really build these friendships. And I think maybe what students need today, or what they want today, is the human connection, and they want friendships. Yeah. So some closing thoughts that, through the whole process over the past year of trying to bring dance into education, was that I really felt that it will take a pioneering and standalone spirit to choose the path of humanism in dance, because it is difficult, right? It's difficult to convince uh, the education industry that I'm going to bring dance in education. It's difficult to convince the dance industry that I'm going to bring education outcomes in dance. And I think what matters is winning over egoism and arrogance, right? It's important to not just dance to show off, or to not look down on people who don't dance. And so most importantly, is important to win over oneself. And I think it's important to focus on a shift from appearances to valuing a person's heart. You know, it's not so important to try to look like an idol or try to look perfect on stage. I personally feel, right, it's more enriching or happier or more important to be able to build friendships and connect with others through dance, I think. And so, yeah, you know, like maybe for a lot of you here who are interested in arts, you know, education, yeah, let's walk this path together as artists and educators for humanity. So before we end, I wanted to share a dance move with everyone. You don't have to stand up. It's not going to be difficult. I'm not going to share anything crazy because I'm also in my very small home, so I don't have space to move. But I wanted to share this dance move that one of my friends actually shared with me as well, which is we're going to create a finger heart. So we're going to create this. And this move is actually from animation dance, right? Or a little bit of popping, a little bit of tutting. You know, as you can see in the picture, this is the end goal. We want to create this heart, right? So I'm going to share with you a move where you can create this finger heart using 8 counts. You know, so we are spreading the love, right? All right. So if you want, you can do it together with me. I don't know if I don't think my screen is mirrored, but I'll just, this is my left and this is my right. All right, so I hope you can see my left and my right, right? So I don't think it's mirrored, but just try to follow as I explain the moves. So for the first count, we're gonna go 1. We're gonna put our left hand like this. This is the left hand. And on 2, we're gonna go right hand. Right, so again, 1 and 2, right? Left and right. So the movement is always gonna be left, right, left, right, left, right. Right? So that's pretty easy. Right, so left hand, right hand. 1, 2. And then on 3, we are going to lift the index finger of our left hand. 3. And on 4, we're going to lift the index finger of our right hand. All right, so this is a 3 and a 4. So from the beginning, this is a 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and 5 and 6, we're going to bend. On 5, we're going to bend the index finger of our left hand. This is a 5 and a 6. So again, 5 and 6. All right, so from the beginning, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, 7, 8. It's gonna be very easy. 7 and 8, we're gonna move both hands at the same time. So 7, we're gonna open up our hands. Right, so we're here. This is 7. We're gonna pull it open. All right, and on 8, you're gonna make the heart. So to make the heart on 8, you're gonna bend your hands into a heart shape. And at the same time, the 8 is the most difficult, maybe. The 8, you're going to bend your hands, but you're also going to bend your fingers into this shape. So maybe a little bit difficult, but let's start from the beginning, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And on 8, you go straight into the heart shape. So 8, there's the most movement, right? In 8, you just go straight into the heart. And that's something you can use, right? You know, in dance to spread love to people, you know, and something you can share with your friends. So when I do it, you know, together with the count, it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There you go. You got your heart. All right. So I can't see any of you guys, but I hope we can all do it together. I think this is going to be very nice and very fun. So let's do it together. Yeah. All right, so I'm going to count 5, 6, 7, 8. We're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, this is 1. All right, so 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There we go. We got the heart. So yeah, thank you so much, everyone, for participating in this activity together with me. Right, so to end off, I would like to share a quote from my mentor, Dr. Daisaku Ikeda, that I think it's important for everyone who's trying to step a path of humanism. He says, day after day, steadily press ahead, one step at a time with all your strength. The accumulation of such small actions, such small triumphs will result in a historic victory. So I'm always really encouraged by this. I think a lot of times when we choose the path of education or we choose the path of humanism, a lot of the work goes unseen or unrecognized, but it's important to focus on that small victories. So yeah, thank you so much, everyone, for listening. Thank you to everyone for coming to my presentation, and thank you for the support staff who's been working backstage, working behind the scenes to support this presentation. Thank you to Maria for introducing this presentation, introducing this opportunity to me. So I think we've got a few more minutes, about 4 more minutes. So I would like to just take this time to answer some questions that you may have. I think in the Q&A, we got a question from. So if you have any questions, please type it into the Q&A section so I can answer them. Okay, so first question we got is by Koichi. How has Soka education influenced in your teaching method? I think so Soka education had huge influence on my teaching because I actually graduated from Soka kindergarten in Singapore, and I met Dr. Daisaku Ikeda there. And as a kid, the biggest impression that I had from the encounter where he sort of touched my face was that, oh, this guy really values every individual that he met. Because as a kid, I didn't know who he was. I wasn't even focused on him. I didn't care. But he sort of touched my face, and then he sort of brought me to that moment, where we met. And I think I could sort of feel that he really cared about me, even though I didn't know who he was. So the biggest thing that I learned from Soka education, I think, was valuing every individual, even though sometimes you may not get this reciprocation. Sometimes you may care about a student, or sometimes, but they don't want to listen to you, or that kind of thing can happen sometimes. But continuing to value each and every individual, regardless of how people react to you or how people respond to you, I think that's the biggest thing for me. Yeah. So if anyone has any other questions, I think we got a couple more minutes. So yeah. Okay, we have another question from Aryan. I hope I got that right, Aryan. Yeah, what do you think is the biggest challenge to integrating dance as a pedagogy in formal learning spaces? I think the biggest challenge is, I think it's convincing the educational institutions. Yeah, and because I've been sort of going through this process of looking for jobs at universities actually, and trying to sort of tell them that, I wanted to bring dance into sort of these learning spaces was the biggest challenge, because trying to show them the significance of dance, or the value of dance in these institutions, and to convince them that, hey, there's value in this, or to convince them that this, I'm not just playing around. Yeah, so I think the biggest challenge is really convincing a lot of these institutions or the major stakeholders. I think it will take a lot of patience, a lot of dialogue. Yeah, and because it's so new at the same time. So yeah, biggest challenge definitely dialogue, probably, and to convince these you know influential people in the education industry. Yeah. So I hope that answers your question. Thank you very much. Yeah, so I think it's time. Yeah, I think it's time. But if you have any if you want to talk to me or any other questions, just feel free to, I don't know, if contact me, yeah, in any way. Yeah. So yeah, thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you. Thanks for the inspiring session. So I think you have a really inspiring story. By the way, my name is Gideon. I'm from Nigeria. I'm with the organizing team for ICT 2024. I think you have a very inspiring story, and it resonates with the fact that suffering or pain is actually a shared experience. And I think it also highlights the concept of logotherapy, which is finding purpose and meaning in the face of adversity. And one thing I would like to say is about the dance activity. I think it was really interesting. I'm the Smith, by the way, just in case you're wondering.
Thank you so much.
The quote, and the quote I would like to go with was when he said, "Nobody can dance the way you do." I think for some of us with two bold left feet, that's the really inspiring quote. So thank you very much. Thank you everyone for joining.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for helping me backstage as well.
Bye.
Thank you.